Hey mama, if you're listening to this, you might be carrying a secret that feels too heavy to speak out loud. You look like you got it all together, you serve at church, maybe you even lead a Bible study. You smile when you drop off the kids, but no one sees the other side of you, the one that comes out behind closed doors. At home, you are a completely different person. You yell, you explode, you scream at your kids, sometimes in their face. You tell them to shut up. You grab them too harshly. You throw things across the room. You smack them in anger, twist their ears, spank them in rage, and immediately after, you are hit with a tidal wave of shame. You cry alone in your room and you whisper, "God, what is wrong with me?" You feel scared and disgusted by your own reactions. You're terrified that someone might find out. You wonder if your kids would be better off without you. You feel unworthy, broken, and too far gone to be redeemed. You try to fix this on your own. You listen to podcasts, parenting books, download freebies, but nothing changes. You keep falling back into the same patterns, and it feels like you are stuck in a cycle that you can't break. You don't trust yourself anymore, and if you're honest, you are afraid of who you've become. But here's the truth, Mama. You are not beyond hope. You're not alone, and with God's help and the right support, you can change. I'm Elizabeth, a mom of 4 and an anger management coach for Christian moms. And inside my Calm Christian Mom coaching program, I guide women just like you through a powerful transformation. This isn't shallow behavior management. We go deep. We address your triggers, your stress, your mindset, your nervous system, and the spiritual root behind your patterns. We invite God into every layer and walk hand in hand towards healing. In just 12 weeks, you can become a completely different mom, unrecognizable. One who leads with patience, not panic. One whose children feel emotionally safe around her. One who cultivates peace. This summer, I'm offering a Calm Mama strategy session, a powerful 15-minute one-on-one coaching session designed to help you uncover the root of your anger and receive spiritual, emotional, and practical support. It's your chance to experience what coaching is like with me before diving deeper into ongoing support. If we both feel like the full program is the next right step, we can talk about what that looks like for you. You don't have to keep living like this. Your family is worth healing, and so are you. Use the link in the show notes to book the Calm Mama strategy session. Hi, friends. Welcome back to Emotionally Healthy Legacy Podcast. Today, I have Rose on the podcast. Rose is a mama that just recently graduated Calm Christian Mom Coaching Program. She joined the program back in the spring of 2025, and I would love for you to hear her story and her testimony about why she joined the program and the transformation and the progress that she has made. So, Rose, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. Good to be here.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about yourself. How many kids do you have? What do your days look like? Do you work full time? Do you stay home? So our listeners kind of get an idea of what your days look like.
So I'm married and I have an 8-year-old girl, a 5-year-old boy, and I am a teacher. I teach 4th grade at a charter school. And so my work week is very kind of intense. We get up early, we leave the house early, and I work from 7 to 4 and have a commute on both ends. So the days go quickly and weekends are full.
Tell me what was going on in your life that you decided that I need help with anger. I can't keep doing this anymore and I need to get help. What was going on in your life?
I was never an angry person until I had kids. But I have struggled really in my motherhood, not from the very beginning, but I think after my daughter kind of hit the toddler years, I started struggling with anger. And I read books and I did courses and I tried to fix that, but never with great success. And then I had another child, and then I went back to work and I had work stress. And I just realized this spring, like really over the winter, like things were not going well. I was regularly very angry, going into rage, and just not being the mom I want to be, and feeling really stuck because I didn't know what else to do, but I knew I didn't want to be this way.
At that time, how was anger affecting your relationship with your husband and specifically your kids?
It definitely impacted his confidence in me, and just I know he was concerned and feeling like he always had to be ready to step in if I was just losing it. And with my kids, they didn't ever know what kind of mama they were going to get, if I could be safe for them. And so there was less warmth and security on their side or in between us. Yeah, there was a lot of uncertainty for them.
Yeah, and that must have been hard for both of you,
Mhm.
for them and for you. Before you joined the program, what were you thinking or feeling about yourself as a mom? Because I know a lot of moms that listen to the podcast, they struggle with a lot of shame, guilt, and remorse about the way that they're showing up at
Yeah.
home. They feel
All,
like they're living a double life. They're
mhm.
one way in public, at work or in church, and a completely different person at home. And at the end of the day, they're filled with shame, remorse. They're hating the way that they're showing up for their family. They're mad at themselves, even for
Mhm.
reacting in such harsh and hurtful ways. Tell me,
Mhm.
what was that like for you?
I'm a teacher and I'm very professional at work and deal with, sometimes really challenging behaviors very calmly and appropriately. And then I come home and something even more minor could really set me off. So, yes, I felt that shame and guilt and remorse for sure. And just, I mean, we're as sick as our secrets, right? This wasn't something I felt like I could share with anybody because people don't talk about this, and that didn't feel safe to tell anybody. But I don't like hypocrisy in myself or others, and I just felt uncomfortable in my own skin.
I think you're so right. People feel so uncomfortable sharing about this side of them with other people because sometimes moms do, and they're like, hey, I struggle with anger and motherhood. And other moms are like, well, I don't. And then they feel like an outsider because some people struggle a little bit with anger and motherhood, and others struggle a lot. And that's like their thorn in their side. That's the battle that they need to fight. That's maybe a generational curse that they need to break, or that's just something that they need to intentionally put effort in that doesn't naturally come for them. And they have to put a lot of intentionality. And then when they end up sharing that with somebody else in their mom circle, and nobody's like, oh, I feel the same way. They feel even worse. Now they thought they were the only one, and now they had the courage to share, and nobody's like, hey, I struggle with that too. And then they feel even worse. They're like, well, I definitely can't tell anyone. I'm definitely the only mom that ever treats my kids that way. Did you have thoughts about like, I'm the only mom that does this?
Yes, for sure. I try to be real and genuine in my close, safe relationships, but even when I would sort of hint around at it, or and might share, moms would share frustrating situations, but no, I did not feel safe to just be that vulnerable.
It's scary. It's scary. And then you're like, well, is somebody going to turn me in? Or, like you
Mhm.
have those thoughts too.
Yeah.
You're like, is this a safe person to talk to and open up?
Right.
And so this is a struggle that a lot of moms face, and they just feel really scared to
Mhm.
even tell somebody else. And they don't even feel safe sharing this
Yeah.
struggle. And then you have all that shame and guilt and remorse, and it's just suffocating you. And then just going back to that term that you said earlier, I felt stuck.
Mhm.
I felt stuck. Like I did not know what to do. So, taking all of that, what fears and hesitations did you have before joining the coaching program? Because you said you tried reading
Mhm.
books, you tried listening to the podcast, you tried passive courses, and you were still stuck. You tried praying, you tried reading the Bible, and you felt stuck. So, what were the hesitations and the fears for you when it came to taking the step of asking for help and reaching out to me and taking the step of investment?
Yeah, definitely it requires some vulnerability to do the intake form and to be transparent enough to say, like, I have a problem and it's significant enough that I need help outside of what I can do myself. So I had to overcome that. And I knew that there was a group component to it. And I had some hesitation around sharing with complete strangers, what I was going through. But honestly, I was at the point where those sort of were insignificant in comparison to the fears that I had about what I would do to my closest family relationships if I didn't take that risk. And so that it wasn't holding me back. So I was just at that point of really needing to do something different.
Yeah, I think one of the questions that stands out to a lot of moms that actually they tell me later on in that initial consultation call, I ask them if nothing changes in 5 years,
Yeah.
what's going to happen? Your relationships with your kids. And that, or
Mhm.
even to your marriage. And
Yeah.
for a lot of people, they literally say, I will be divorced and I don't know if I would even have custody of my kids. Because if I continue down this path, like what are the next 5 years are going to look like?
Yeah.
And everybody that I've asked that question who got the courage to get on that consultation call, they're like, I feel scared what the next 5 years are going to look like. Like they're in a place where they're like, I am ready to do something about this area of my life and I'm ready to make some changes. So let's shift gears and talk about what was it like for you to be part of Conquer the Mom coaching program? Because you did mention there was a group component of the group coaching calls. You had one-on-one Voxer access to me Monday through Friday. You had the video lessons with the reflection questions. You also had the one-on-one calls. So tell me a little bit about what was your experience like? What was your favorite part? What was the hardest part? Share with me.
I was really committed to just digging in and being all in for the program. And so it was it was really a nice way to start the day. I would listen to the coaching course and I had my journal. I would do my vision writing of how I was going to handle maybe our transition out of the house and into the car. That was a big one that I worked on. And so I'd write that out and listen to the morning affirmations while I was putting on my makeup. And so it was just like, it became a very nice routine in my day. And then it was nice to like get your check-ins on Voxer, and maybe during lunch I could tell how things were going that day or share a win. And then the weekly coaching calls to have a chance to get coaching for challenges that had come up or listen to other moms. I really felt like I grew to take care for some of the other moms that were in the same kind of season that I was in, just within the coaching time, and get to see them weekly and hear how God was working in their lives was really encouraging. I think several of us had some of the same struggles, even beyond just the parenting, but with the marriage aspect. And so that was encouraging to just be able to check in and I favorite part, I think probably was the coaching calls, just because that was so unique to have time to just be super honest about those struggles and wins. Hardest, I think probably just making time to make good use of the Voxer, because that wasn't something that was already in my life. And so I would kind of forget sometimes. And then, but you were always so good to check in, and that would prompt me like, oh, this is a resource too. And I need help with, whatever it is. And then just be encouraged by your coaching.
Yeah, and Voxer Access is like an app that you download on your phone. It's kind of like a walkie-talkie app. You can listen to it live as I'm talking to you, or you can listen to the recording later on. And you can text message on it. You submit your homework assignments on there. That's how I keep the mamas accountable in the coaching group. And oh, what's really neat about it is like if you're having a hard morning with the kids, if you're having a rough day or afternoon, you can literally message me and be like, "Hey, I'm having a really hard time." And I will typically respond to you quite quickly within a couple hours for sure. Like, and give you some support and guidance so you don't feel stuck, so you don't feel alone. Like, give you like either maybe it's just to pray over you. Something I think one time, like you messaged me, you're like, I'm just having a really hard time. And there wasn't an easy solution. It's like all I could do is just to pray over you because it was just a tricky situation
Mhm.
that was really
Right.
challenging. And there isn't a lot that we could tangibly do in that moment. We could just like surrender it to the Lord. And just having that access to somebody that, like, hey, I'm having a really hard day. And
Yeah.
I'm just feeling stuck and I don't know how to get out of this. Maybe it's mentally you feel super stuck. Maybe you feel you're stuck in that victim mentality. Like your kids are making you mad. They're doing this to you. They're making you upset. They're making you yell. And you're like, I feel stuck. Everything is just yucky. And I don't know how to shift out of that. And you need some guidance and support. That's what Voxer is for. Like,
Mhm.
and some moms in the program utilize that a lot, others not so much. And
Yeah.
so I just want the moms that, as they're listening to this podcast episode, like when we work together in the coaching container, like you have access to me Monday through Friday, like 8 a.m. to 6 p.m. Eastern time. I will respond to your messages. And then we have the group calls, we have the individual calls. You have like lessons every single week video lessons that you watch on your own time and reflection questions. You know exactly what to work on each week. It's not like, oh, I don't know what to do this week. You
Mhm.
have something that you can implement and do every single week so it doesn't feel super overwhelming.
Mhm.
What was one of the most powerful or helpful things that you learned in the coaching program?
Each week was something like very impactful. But I think the mindsets for me were huge. Being able to have some vocabulary to put around what I wanted to change was very empowering. And we think, oh, it's just words, but it really reshaped my thinking,
Mhm.
which then helped me feel my way into a better place just all around. That was,
Yeah. Yeah, and I like how you said that, like putting words to it, because we know we need to take our negative thoughts captive. We know we should have a good attitude and a positive perspective, yet the how is missing. We don't know. How do I change my thoughts? What should I think instead of this? I have this negative thought about my husband or about my kid or what about the circumstance? What other thought can I think? I just can't not think of a positive thought. And just having those phrases that you can redirect your perspective on. And I've done episodes on mindset shifts and like having that in your back pocket where you're like, oh, I know that I can shift my, like, this is the beginning of it. Like, this is my chance.
yeah,
Or,
yeah.
this is happening. He's not doing this to me. This is just happening. Or he's having a hard time. Or I've done that too. All those phrases that you can fall back on that can redirect those negative thoughts into a positive way. I thought you were going to say vision writing because
Oh, for
you
sure.
mentioned
Yeah.
multiple times to me how helpful
Yeah.
vision writing was for you. So share with me a little bit about vision writing. for you, which scenario did you see most significant progress in?
I think for sure the one I always come back to is that morning routine because it was just such a trigger. And it was the first thing that my first interaction with the kids, was just frustrating and also my most significant interaction because then I'm not with them the rest of the day. And so it just felt really yucky to be exploding in anger on the way out the door every morning. And
Mhm.
so the vision writing was starting with reminding myself of who I am and then just really thinking through very intentionally what I wanted to think and do and say when they were moving slowly, when they were whining about, brushing their teeth or when, they couldn't find their stuff and just to get to a point where I had a ready response or thought or prayer at hand. It really did rewire my thinking
Mhm.
and has continued. Like I'm not having to write that scenario anymore, but I'm still getting the benefits of it.
Yes, yes. And it's like it becomes your new normal. Like
Yeah.
you rewired your brain to create a new pathway and how you're going to respond. So
Mhm.
now you're going to find another scenario. You
Mhm.
will. We
Yeah.
all do. Like that feels triggering and tricky. And then you get to practice that scenario with on paper. And vision writing, for those that are listening, this is a tool that I use in my coaching program. It's like you're mentally rehearsing on paper what you're going to think, say, and do in a triggering situation, and you are handling it in a positive way, the way that you want to handle. Because right now, you know what you don't want to do. You don't want to yell, you don't want to feel frustrated, you don't want to snap, you don't want to be harsh, but how do you want to handle? What do you want to think? What do you want to say to your kids? What kind of tone do you want to have? What are you going to do? And so we are mentally rehearsing it on paper in your journal, hopefully in the mornings before your day starts, spending 5 to 10 minutes to do that. And you're creating a new pathway in your brain, what to do when that triggering situation comes, so that your brain is like, oh, I know what to do. We practiced it on paper just like 30 minutes ago. I know what to do when my child is resisting me, doesn't want to get up, having a meltdown, can't find the shoe, says something disrespectful, rude, it's taking a long time, because your mind is naturally 9 times more negatively biased. And so it's going to naturally gear towards the negative and the reactive aspect. You need to actually intentionally train it to be responsive. For majority of us, it does not naturally happen to be you know, intentional and responsive. Like patience is a muscle, like we all need to grow. Think about starting from a toddler. You ask them to wait. Like they have a really hard time. Like waiting is hard. It's just hard. It's just really, really hard for all ages, especially waiting on God, waiting for Him to answer our prayers. That's super hard, right? Waiting on our kids, you ask them to do something and waiting for them to do it. We want that immediate obedience, and waiting is really hard. That's a muscle that God teaches us all throughout life. So it doesn't come naturally. It's the fruit of the Spirit. And also it's something that we need to intentionally work on time after time, day after day. And so when we do that mental rehearsal, when we practice on paper and we do that vision writing, that is one of the ways that we retrain our brain to have more patience. We slow our thinking down, we slow our brain down, and it allows us to even slow down in those moments. Because one of the things that you mentioned when you first started the program is that you felt rushed a lot.
Mhm.
And we talked about that in the
Yeah.
beginning of the coaching calls, that you felt like you were rushing
Yeah.
constantly. And so that is one of the things that you were intentionally working on, slowing down and being present
Mhm.
and engaged instead of just rushing, rushing, rushing. Have the positive changes that you have experienced, how have they impacted you, your kids, and your spouse?
I feel empowered to continue growing and making changes. Like it's been just really encouraging to see I can change, I can make progress in this area. And so as I come up against other struggles, like it gives me hope that I can also continue growing and changing because there's always more. With my kids, there's definitely a process of rebuilding trust, but I feel like they do trust me more to stay in control, even when they know I'm not happy with their choices or the way that they're treating me. And I feel like, are often quicker to calm down themselves, whereas we're not escalating each other.
How has your relationship with yourself has changed? Because oftentimes when moms come in the program, there's a lot of negative self-talk. There's a lot of negativity, like I'm a failure, I'm not meant to do this, I'm terrible at being a mom, especially after like those rage episodes or those big episodes of frustration and anger and yelling.
I've seen the change more in I feel lighter, I
Mm.
feel more hopeful, I feel, like I said, empowered. Like it was really just a heavy weight, guilt and even despair and sadness that I was carrying and just feeling like I just couldn't change. And then also, I don't know that I connected it, but I was not taking care of myself. And I felt like the only way I could keep things floating was to take care of everybody else. And there was never enough left over for myself. That first half of the program really helped me to recognize that I have value and worth in the family dynamic and equation, and that it matters. It's the put your mask on first analogy that I keep coming back to, that I just wasn't doing well. So now I think I recognize like I'm so much better at choosing my values when I've taken care of my basic needs, and am recognizing on the reflection side of it, on the second half of the program, like being able to reflect back, like, why didn't that go well? Oh, right. I, didn't sleep well last night. I can have compassion for myself for that. I'm not feeding myself. I can make better choices there. So just
Yeah.
deciding to do that and kind of feeling like giving myself permission to do that was very freeing.
And I'm glad you said that because sometimes we feel like, oh, I don't have the time for it. My kids are more important. We maybe even subconsciously we just prioritize everything else. We're like, oh, I can wait. And then the flip side is that is feeling burnout, resentful, bitter, easily triggered. And we just oftentimes don't put the pieces together like, oh, that's what is contributing to me feeling reactive. That's obviously just one part of what contributes to anger. It's not like the whole thing. But I
Yeah.
do notice that moms with young kids,
Mhm.
especially, that is the primary thing that is contributing to them feeling really reactive, short-tempered, and even rage. It's like feeling completely depleted and worn down and just like neglecting, like you said, basic needs that were neglected. And we just don't put the pieces together. We know that a toddler is melting down because when they're tired and hungry, but we just don't put the pieces together like, oh wait, I haven't eaten anything all day. I had a really, really rough night of sleep or a few nights, I'm in pain or whatever it might be, and that's contributing to frustration, easily feeling triggered. How about your mindset? I know we talk a lot about mindset. At
Mhm.
least one third of the program
Yeah.
is mindset. And
Mhm.
so, how do you feel your mindset has improved? And is it supporting you in the mom that you want to be for your kids?
Yeah, that's been very helpful. I think some of the things that I find myself coming back to regularly now are, this isn't to upset me. I have a good kid who's having a hard time. The kind of the proactive, just reflection when there is a problem of like, okay, that didn't go well. What can I learn from that? Rather than spiraling down into shame out of that, but just to recognize, okay, I own that and can repair that with, whoever I need to repair it with. But also, there's probably something in there that I can do differently next time. And so that's a shift for me of just, again, feeling empowered to like use failure for positive change.
You've come a long way with mindset, especially in the beginning, like even in your application, thinking thoughts about your son that were like you were spiraling in this negative pattern.
I can recognize that those thoughts aren't true. And I can remind myself, that no, I mean, he is a good kid and we can get through this. And he's doing the best he can to his physical and mental capacity. It's given me a lot of compassion. And that was something I was having trouble accessing. It all felt very personal and very kind of highly emotionally charged. And now I can kind of separate the action from the person, just recognize like, yes, we can deal with that action, but I love you. I have hope for your future. I'm going to be able to help you get through this.
Compared to the beginning of the program, how often do you still lose your cool with your kids on a weekly basis?
I can go a week without like feeling more than frustrated. And that's huge.
And you've been with your kids home all summer too.
We did a 33-day road trip. And I was, for the last 2 weeks of that, I was the only parent. And we drove for 46 hours and stayed in a lot of homes and hotels. There have definitely been moments more with my son that have been challenging in the last month, just as he's dealing with the aggression. But even so, like, it's probably been a week since I had to apologize for like, no, that was too harsh.
And then when you do lose your cool, is the intensity lower than it used to
For
be
sure.
in the past?
Yeah. Yeah. And I can catch it faster. Like if I hear myself using my big voice, I can recognize it faster. It was like, no, I don't do that anymore. I need to rein it in and take a break. And the last 2 or 3 times I have been very conscious of that, like just a quick check in, like, no, I need to take a break, or like right afterwards, realizing, no, if I had just taken a break, that would not have gotten as heated. That
Yeah.
for me has just really been like what it comes down to. And I've committed to my kids, like, I'm going to take a break.
Why do you think you have gotten this far in the coaching program? What contributed to your success and transformation?
For sure, God's help. I've been very aware of God supporting me through it. I think too, the accountability was just huge. I've tried a lot of other things, but nobody else knew that I was trying them. And I think I just needed somebody else to be in it with me and to recognize that where I was and where I wanted to be didn't match, and to just walk with me through that was probably the biggest difference from anything else that I've tried.
I agree with you that like there is a part that we are making the changes where like the tangible, practical things. And then there's the spiritual aspect, asking God to come alongside us, in this process. And so it's like the combination of those two things really helps us move forward when we're making changes like that. And the The accountability, that's huge. That's huge. I've even bought programs like business programs that were like $2,000. And yeah, they have live group calls every single week, but I get to do whenever I want to that program. And guess what? Still never finished it
Yeah.
because nobody's checking in with me. I'm not, is there a worksheet with reflection questions? Yes, there are. Like there's a whole big book that I can print out and do it. But do you think I did it?
Yeah.
No, because no one's asking me or checking in with me like, hey, how's it going? What lesson are you on? Like, how are you doing with your reflection questions?
Yeah.
And I mean, I have access to the group calls and I attended them a little bit in the beginning, but then it's just like I stopped because I didn't have that accountability, somebody checking in and asking me regularly, are you doing this? How are you doing in this specific area? So I'm glad that you found that helpful because that is why I have my program structured the way I do. I think accountability is one of the biggest reasons moms stick with the program and not fall off. They start and they finish because, you know, like they're invested because they paid a price and I'm checking in with them regularly about it too. Do you have that letter that you wrote to yourself in the beginning of the program? Do you by any
I do.
chance have that?
So, dear me, you did it. You actually invested 12 weeks in yourself, learning how to show up for your family in ways that are aligned with your true values. I'm so proud of you for getting vulnerable, for staying humble, for honestly taking inventory so you can deeply change. That's huge. You have learned the skills and mindsets you need to embark on this epic road trip, and you're ready to parent solo for a few weeks without fear of losing your mind or your temper. It's going to be so good. You are a calm, loving, gentle, and patient mama. You love your kids well, and they know it. You can discipline gently and with emotional stability. You recognize and diffuse triggers. Before, your family would never be sure what kind of mama they were getting, but now you are much more stable. Before, you were task-driven, distracted, often unavailable. You've learned to slow down, be present, and show empathy in the moment. You're ready to be playful, engaged, and intentional. The mama you are in public and in private are aligned and sincere. No more personas and hypocrisy. Your love shines through and honors God. Now go enjoy this amazing adventure full of hope, joy, and love. And then I have the quote from, I think it's First Corinthians. Now to him who is able to do exceedingly abundantly above all that we can ask or imagine be glory. Amen.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And how do you feel after reading that?
I mean, it's definitely emotional just to like recognize how much I wanted to change. And, even at the very beginning, could by faith believe that I could change. But, it was all very hypothetical because I didn't know how we were going to get there. And I think that's just such a gift from God and super grateful for your help in that.
Yeah, I'm so glad that you were able to experience those positive shifts and God was able to work and transform you in that way. When did you start noticing positive changes in yourself and your relationships with your kids? When did that shift happen?
I think even in the first week, I started to feel calmer because I was focusing on creating that margin. And it was that opportunity to say no to some things, to say yes to other things, and just to make some space. And so that immediately started helping. And getting into the vision writing right away started helping. By the second or third week, I was really starting to make some progress on those triggering situations that had been just plaguing me. And by 6 weeks, my husband really noticed a difference and was very just aware of the effort that I was putting into the program and was able to encourage me that he was really proud of that and that he could see a difference in how I was handling the struggles. I told him I was going to be talking with you tonight. And he's like, I'm really glad you did that program. I think it really helped you and I'm proud of you for doing it. He definitely has seen the progress too.
Oh, that's so sweet that your husband was able to see that and even mention that.
Yeah.
How would you describe yourself as a mom when you first joined the program? And how would you describe yourself now as a mom?
You reminded me about the rushed part. I'd kind of forgotten about that. But yeah, I was. I was rushed. I was distracted, really kind of quick to correct harshly, just kind of demanding and sometimes rough. I would quickly get fast and loud when I was frustrated and just sort of volatile. Like my kids didn't know what to expect. And now I feel much more emotionally grounded. I feel more in control of my responses. And I feel like I can access that calm when I need it. I know that I am a safe mom for my kids, and I feel empowered now when new things come up to do something about it instead of staying stuck. And I feel like I can access the mom I want to be with greater ease, whereas before that might have felt impossible some days.
And I know when you first came in, there was a lot of like negative I am
Mhm.
statements about yourself as a mom. How would you describe yourself today?
I am emotionally grounded. I am more likely to be lighthearted in challenging moments. Not perfect on that. But even tonight, my son was just battling me a few minutes ago, getting ready for bed. And I just tried playfulness and it worked. And
Hmm.
I am more playful. And I am safe for my kids. And that
Yeah.
feels really good.
That's so great to hear. I'm so glad that you were able to make this progress by putting in the work and with God's help, co-laboring with the Lord together and inviting God into the process and also putting intentionality on your side to put effort in into making these changes and staying committed because it's not like an overnight thing. It
Right.
doesn't take just a week. It takes more than that to break these patterns, to make these shifts, to make these changes. So let's finish up with the last question. What would you say to the mama that's listening right now who feels stuck in anger and wonders if the program is going to work for her?
I would really encourage you that if you feel at all drawn to try this, that it really is, it's a great investment. It is worth cost, time, energy. There are very few things I've come across that have truly given me a pathway to change something that needed to be changed like this has. And so I really think it's unique. And I think it's motherhood is too important not to invest in. So, like you said, different moms have different struggles. But if this is your struggle, then here is a tool that will work. And I think you said early on, like you get out of something what you put into it. So you have to have that willingness to be committed. But with that, I feel like God more than met me halfway in providing what I lacked. There was time to do it. There was energy to invest in it. He provided the resources, and I would do it again if I was stuck because I really believe this is a valuable tool and have shared with other friends who I know have challenges in this area because I really believe that this was something that God used in a powerful way for me.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that and for encouraging the moms that are listening. And I like what you said, motherhood is too important not to invest in. And nobody becomes a great and amazing mom by accident. It
Mm,
takes intentionality
mhm.
and to put the effort into it. So, again, thank you so much for coming on the show and just being transparent and vulnerable enough to share your story, because I know this is a topic that's kind of hard to talk on. So, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate that.
Thank you. I really appreciate you and the way that God's using you. I know
Thank
you're going to
you.
help a lot of other women.
Thank you. Mama, if you listen to this podcast episode and you resonated with what Rose was talking about, if you feel like anger is ruining your life and your relationship with your kids, if you feel guilt paralyzed, if your family is walking on eggshells around you, if you feel angry most of the time and frustrated and annoyed is your baseline, if everything seems to get to you, maybe your kids ask you a basic question and you just react so easily. And then they ask you, Mom, why are you angry all the time? Maybe they call you a mean mom. My friend, there is hope for transformation. You don't have to stay stuck in this situation. If you want support, if you need that hand holding, if you try to do things on your own, the passive courses, reading books, listening to podcasts, and you need someone to hold your hand, pray for you, tell you every step of the way what to work on, have a coach that you can check in with Monday through Friday, ask questions, have me in your back pocket, have coaching calls where you're surrounded by other women that are walking on this journey. I have the exact program for you called Calm Christian Mom. I want to invite you to take the next step, the leap of faith, to do something scary, to invest in yourself. The details are in the show notes about Calm Christian Mom. The next step is to check out the program, check out the website. It has all the details about it, and then book your free consultation call. And let's get on the call. Let's talk about your situation. Tell me everything that is going on between you and your kids and the situation with your anger in your home. And if I feel like the program is the next best step for you, I will share with you about the program and invite you in. And if not, I will direct you in the right direction. If anger is a chronic thing that keeps happening in your relationships day after day, if you're constantly reacting in harsh, mean ways that are not aligned with who God is calling you to be, you can change with God's help and the right support, and I'm ready to support you on this journey. All the details are in the show notes. Hey mama, do you find yourself snapping over the smallest things, like spilled milk or constant whining, then feeling horrible afterwards? If you're tired of losing your temper and you want to show up with more patience, I have something for you. It's a free training called How to Be More Patient with Your Kids so you're not screaming over spilled milk. Inside, I'll walk you through 10 simple things you can start doing today to become a calmer, more Christ-like mom, even on the hard days. To get it for free, just leave a rating and review on Apple Podcasts and send a screenshot to hello@emotionallyhealthylegacy.com. Or if you'd rather skip the wait, you can grab it right now for just $27. The link is in the show notes. Let's help you become the peaceful, patient mom your kids need.